Fantasy role-playing is often caught in a trap between two competing tropes. Your characters almost always fall somewhere on the spectrum between medieval superheroes who wield lightning with the flick of a wrist, or the bombastic adventures of pulp heroes like that of Conan or the Beastmaster. But the competing visions of high and low fantasy fail to encompass the full scope of why the genre as a whole has captured the minds of creative people since the dawn of man.
So few games have dared to step out of these narrow categories into the deeper pool of human imagination. They ape the flavor and some of the trappings of what lies at the foundations of these genres, but few have attempted to strike at the core of what underpins all of them: myth.
The design mechanism has stepped outside the boundaries of the played-out tropes of mainstream fantasy and delivered a game that emulates more than just the superficial and the cosmetic elements of man's oldest stories. They've given us a game that emulates the mythic tradition itself.
Mythras is unique. This is a role-playing game that is steeped in the tradition of mythic storytelling. It's grounded in the deeply personal human connections that every human being understands, giving it an immediate sense of being real. But this sense of grounded realism is placed into a world of pure mystery. The implied setting of Mythras is one of conflicting spiritualities, gods and monsters, and pure imagination.
And Mythras accomplishes this without resort to explicit lore or exposition. It does this by focusing deeply on your character's passions, their cultural upbringing and social class, and their membership in cults and brotherhoods. But this core focus on character does not come through sacrificing mechanical rigor. This is a rare game that has an immersive focus with the support of an extremely well-tested rule system that provides a solid backbone to the action of the game.
Mythras is a descendant of RuneQuest and BRP. In fact, Mythras was originally RuneQuest 6th edition, until the license reverted to Chaosium. With the removal of the Gloranthan setting, the truly excellent qualities of this game have been allowed to shine. Instead of focusing on a particular mythic world, Mythras is able to focus on myth as such as its setting. For game masters who have envisioned mythic worlds that don't fit into the mold of D&D or its various clones, Mythras provides a skeleton and a platform for bringing them to life. It channels that pure creative energy through productive frameworks that will clarify structures, factions, and religions, as well as cultures that you've envisioned for your game.
The game is built on a familiar D100 skill system. This simple core mechanic is used to resolve almost everything in the game, from combat to social encounters, even to the use of magic. Character creation is unique among these similar systems, in that your randomly generated attributes are used to determine the baseline capabilities of your skills. After these values are determined, players choose their cultural background from either primitive, barbaric, nomadic, or civilized societies. These cultural backgrounds determine in part the values that the character was raised with, as well as the social castes and careers that are available to them. At each stage, your character is given additional skill points to add atop the baseline values according to the selected background.
This process of continued layering of character and cultural depth serves as a kind of life path framework in which you gain greater clarity into where your character came from, what he believes, who he knows. The level of granularity that you decide to pursue can even allow you to establish the complete dynamics of your familial relations. By the end of character creation, you have a fully formed person to bring into the game. There's no need to write an extensive backstory, as you already know who this person is, where he came from, and most importantly, what he wants to do.
What you'll notice here is a total absence of the idea of class or archetype that you would see in classic fantasy role-playing games. Since Mythras has a different focus than the genre tropes of games like D&D, there's no expectation of conformity to typical roles, allowing you to more freely and fully follow the momentum of your character concept. This actually alleviates the special snowflake problem that some players fall into in other games, where their character concept is at odds with the class that they've selected. In Mythras, there is no danger of playing against type, as the system has guided the creation of your character to be in line with both the tone of the world and the cultural milieu from which they came from. This gives you total freedom to pursue that character and their passions with consistency when the game starts.
And your character's passions are what guide their actions through the world of the game. This is not a rehash of alignment or a system of morality, but they're the primary values that your character holds. This has a strong impact on guiding your roleplay, and it's tied into the mechanics of the game in several circumstances.
Two excellent examples of the types of characters and worlds that Mythras supports are Amleth from the Northmen and Gawain from the Green Knight. Amleth hails from a barbarian culture, having come from noble blood steeped in the ways of an animistic cult. He's a man driven by his hatred for the people who destroyed his past and stole his kingdom.
I am Amleth the Beowulf, son of King Aurvan the War-Raven, and I am his vengeance!
Gawain, on the other hand, hails from a civilized culture, but also is of high birth. He's steeped in the cult of Christendom. In stark opposition, Gawain is a man born in a time of peace, who's yet to discover any passion whatsoever.
Make for me a gift. Tell me a tale of yourself, so that I might know thee.
I have none to tell, King.
Yet. You have none to tell yet.
Both of these men live in a world of deep supernatural substance, where magic and the gods are real, and faith has tangible impacts on the world around them. And both men come into contact with spirits who demand that they meet their destiny.
For Amleth, he receives a vision from a spirit of fate.
I speak you my fortune, which
For where your path of ashes ends, another will begin her journey. A maiden king.
release me.
You cannot escape what fate the norms have spun. Now be gone!
This vision rekindles Amleth's hate. At this point in his story, he's simply been coasting through the world, pillaging without reason. As his passions guide him to his enemy's home, he meets a woman with whom he unexpectedly falls in love. The result of this romance is the two of them raining terror upon their mutual enemies. But more importantly, it gives meaning to Amleth's life of total violence. When Amleth takes his magical blade to the gates of hell to meet his fate, it is no longer simply his animal hatred that guides him to his destiny, but the love of his kin and the drive to protect his unborn children. He is a more integrated person at the end of the story, and his fearless acceptance of his destiny is done so on his own terms.
Gawain, on the other hand, is engaged by a spirit of nature in a deadly contest. Having no deeds to his name, Gawain accepts the mysterious challenge, not understanding its full consequences. The journey that Gawain must then undertake, driven by his loyalty to King Arthur, is itself a series of tests that cultivate his passions within him, so that he may rightly take his place as a true member of his brotherhood, the Knights of Camelot. It is a quest in the truest sense of the word. Gawain falters many times, but in the final moment of the test, he accepts his destiny with the honor and bravery of a true Knight of the Round Table.
This is not the sort of experience that is cultivated by Dungeons & Dragons. Neither Amleth or Gawain are leveling up or concerned with acquiring more gold pieces. Their advancement comes from within. Mythras is a game about cultivating and pursuing passions, dedicating yourself to your cult and to your brotherhood. It's a game that invites role players to take the world and the characters in it seriously. This is for people who want more out of their experience at the table than simply updating their saving throws and choosing new feats every couple of sessions.
If you're looking for something more in your games than bog standard modern fantasy slop, then you need to play Mythras. If you have a vision for a world that you're passionate about and want your players to be passionate about, then you need to play Mythras. If you want a tactical combat system that paints a vivid picture of the battleground in your mind, and it offers choices that actually matter, then you need to play Mythras. And if you're tired of every class being capable of blasting different colored lightning out of their ass and want deep and extensive magic systems that evoke and affect the world of your campaign, you need to play Mythras.
There is so much that is packed into this 300-page book, and we've only scratched the surface here. We'll be going chapter by chapter, exploring all of the amazing things that this game has to offer in future videos. But if this has piqued your interest, be sure to visit the Design Mechanism website and use promo code BLACKLodge15 at checkout for 15% off your order. Mythras is an excellent game and worthy of your time.